my guests today struggle to beat the odds and are now on a mission to show other women and men how to do the same. Please welcome Dr. Atiya Parson and her husband, Douglas Parson.
Thank you so much
for having us.
Yes,
we appreciate
indeed.
it.
It is good to have your story as something that we can put a spotlight on because people don't always talk about the hard times, the tough times, the ugly times.
Right.
They just kind of showcase, oh, look at us balling.
Right.
That is not your case at all.
It's not the case.
Successful realtors right now, but let's go back a few years to when things weren't so pretty.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so going back, starting off in Kentucky.
Starting off in Kentucky, well, let's start a little bit before that. I was a big time hustler in Indianapolis. So when I decided to change my life, I came home one night after something went on and told my wife I wanted to change my life. So we moved to Kentucky, which is where she went to school and where I changed my life. We started a new life. So
Right.
Yeah.
And we're looking at this picture. How old were you here?
I might have been 19 or 20 in that picture.
And what kind of...
I was doing big hustling. I wasn't doing the small hustling. I was actually doing what we call bricks, which is, if you know, you know. So that's what I was dealing with.
And I appreciate your candor, right?
Definitely.
Because we know that we know what we're talking about.
Right.
Well, we won't go any deeper than that.
Okay.
But you knew too, right?
I knew too. And so it was one of those things I didn't encourage him. I always said that, you need to choose a different lifestyle. And actually, originally, we met at the skating rink and I threw his number away because I was like, you know what? I can tell he's a hustler. I'm not going down that lane with him.
Yeah.
So I threw his number away and literally like a month later, my car wouldn't start. I was trying to get it jumped and he comes rolling down the aisle and he rolls his window down. He's like, I got you now. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing.
Right.
But I mean, divine meant to
divine.
be.
The connection was there. So
Yes.
you said you moved out of state to change your life. I feel like that
Yes.
might always almost be the first lesson.
Yes.
You have to, if you can't change the people you're around, you've got to
Right.
change
Your
the people
surroundings.
you're around.
Right.
So shall
Right.
be, right?
Right. Yeah. So we moved to Kentucky. I actually was already in college and it just so happened that I enrolled at University of Kentucky and that's where I ended up finishing once we moved there. So, it was a struggle. He kept saying he wanted to go back. I would call his mom and say, hey, Doug's trying to come back, and I would say, well, I'm not going to go with you to try to encourage him to stay.
And when you say go back to that lifestyle.
Go back to that lifestyle, go back to the city where we're from,
Because it's hard when you first leave that life, making the money you were making and being comfortable, right? So what did you end up doing?
Right.
So first, of course, when we left, I had a ton of money, but I quickly ran through that. We started to try a few businesses that didn't work. So I actually was tremendously humbled when I had to go get one of my first jobs ever, and that was at like an auto auction,
Washing
detailing cars.
Wow.
Right.
That was really humbling for you, right? But what was the lesson you learned in having to start over like that?
Do it right the first time. Don't do it the wrong way. Do it the legal way and not the illegal way.
And for you?
For me, it was just compassion because sometimes we look down on people that come from not necessarily different backgrounds because we both, were struggling, but, to look at, like you're selling drugs, like how could you, just have compassion because you never know why someone is doing the things that they have to do.
Up in that situation.
To put food on the table. You just never know.
So what do you tell people, because you're still in both worlds, right?
Yes.
I mean, we all are, if we're honest. Everybody knows somebody.
Right.
How do you help and reach out to folks when you see they're trying to make a transition from that lifestyle?
So me, myself, I actually try to look out for the hustlers. You know what I mean? I try to look out for the less fortunate. So if I see a hustler and I get a chance to talk to him, I'm going to tell him like, you really can make this same money just, flipping houses. So we actually have books out, #1 bestsellers that actually talk about how to start flipping houses.
Right.
How did you two learn how to move into real estate?
Honestly, it's like we just we kind of got thrown into it. So we did a little bit in Kentucky. And then when we decided to move from Kentucky to Atlanta, the realtor that helped us, she looked different. We weren't used to seeing someone that looked like us and have the money she had and the stature. So she pretty much took us under her wings and she told Doug, look, I can show you this whole real estate game, but you need to get your license first. And so he got his license.
He told me where to go to school, got my license. I called her the first day. She said, come to my mansion. I'm going to show you the game. And that's what she did.
Yeah.
Wow. And speaking of mansions, I want to point out our viewers are looking at some pictures of you. Protecting privacy of folks.
Yes.
But this is what you sell now, right? And
correct.
And it's good to be able to make good money a legal way and help people find great homes, right?
Help and build that generational wealth, leaving a legacy behind, something that we can pass on to our children and their children, teaching them this whole real estate game.
Right. And what has been the biggest challenge for you making this work? I mean, because especially in a city like Atlanta.
Right.
How have you found a way to really stand out?
I think with me, I'm a standout type of guy. Coming from hustling, like we was always the one that had the jewelry on. We had the cars and things like that.
Yeah.
So honestly, like me being on social media and showing how I do it, how I look when I do and things like that, it kind of draw the youth in and the drug dealers and different people.
Yeah.
And I'm able to show them the right way they can go, and they can still look cool when they do it.
Yeah.
So
We see lots of smiles here. With our clients. We see Pinky Cole. I think I saw a picture of T.I. in there.
Coach
K. Yes. Big music industry producer, legend.
And I think being authentic, being ourselves and not being afraid to tell the truth. It's a struggle sometimes, and just I don't want to ever put anything on social media to make it appear that everything is just 100 and that it's, glorious. No, it's ups and downs.
Downs. We're going to pause there with the ups and downs. Okay. This is a beautiful story. And when we come back, Dr. Atiya and Douglas get real about what it's like to work with your spouse. Hey, we're keeping it 100. We'll be right back.